Thanks for tuning in to Cleave It to Us. I'm Gremi, and tonight is the first night of Hanukkah. Now, my family's very diverse. We celebrate Hanukkah, Christmas, we do it all. And one of my favorite things to do for any holiday is to cook. And so you're here in my house today, in my kitchen, and we're gonna cook some of my favorite Hanukkah foods. We're gonna make potato pancakes from scratch, we're gonna make applesauce from scratch, and we're going to make chopped liver. It's an acquired taste, but I think we're gonna love it, and I'm gonna show you how I do it today. So let's make it happen. Okay, so before we started filming, I did a little bit of prep, but what we're gonna start on is the potato pancakes. So I didn't wanna have you sitting here watching while I shredded potatoes. So I did that ahead of time. These are freshly shredded potatoes. So I have 3 eggs here, 3 large eggs. Now you can do 2 eggs, you can do 3, however many eggs you want to make it excellent. See what I did there? And so you can have 2 or you can have 1 or 2 extra. I know, I'm stupid. Okay, so we're gonna crack 3 eggs, put them in here. Now, another thing I want you to check out is I have this really neat little garbage can that's attached to the side of my counter, and it's really neat for things like this when I'm cooking. It allows me to not have to run around to the garbage every time I need to throw something away. It's right here. You just put a plastic bag you get from the grocery store in there. This little black piece locks it in, and you can just attach it to the side of your drawer, close the drawer, and it's there. So if you really want to buy one, make sure that you check out the Cleave It to Us website, where you can find a link that'll show you exactly where to get one. So I put the eggs in here, and I mix it up real good. I scramble the eggs in with the shredded potatoes. And you can already see it coming together very nicely. A lot of people use matzah meal. Now, I didn't have matzah meal, which is why you see a piece of matzah here. My favorite matzah comes from Manischewitz. They're not a sponsor, but I love Manischewitz wine and their matzah. I should have poured some Manischewitz wine while we do this. Maybe I'll get some in a minute. I like to get actual matzah and crush it up. So you just break it a few times, throw it into a bag. This is how I make mine. You don't have to make it this way, but this is one of my favorite ways to make it. Now, this is a great way to get some of that holiday anger that you have building up out of your system. You're spending a lot on presents and food and doing a lot. So you've got a lot of built up anger. So you get the matzah, you put it in the bag, and you just beat the hell out of it. So once you have a consistency like this, it's not quite a powder, it's a little bit thicker, but it's a great consistency for what we need. You're gonna take it, now there's 3 eggs, so I use 3 pieces of matzah. And we're gonna pour it in there. And so 3 eggs, 3 potatoes, 3 pieces of matzah. It's very easy. And then we're just gonna mix this all together, get it nice and combined in here. Some people put onions in the potato pancakes. I love the flavor, but I don't like the consistency. So what I'm gonna put in is some onion powder. Now, a little bit of onion powder goes a long way. So I have, I don't know, maybe a teaspoon of onion powder, and also maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. This is a little controversial because it's not gonna do much for the flavor at all because it's such a small amount. But it will, but turmeric's very good for you, so I like to include it in whatever I can when I'm cooking. But it's also, even such a small amount of turmeric is gonna mean a really big thing for the color. It's gonna give us that yellow color that we love so much in potato pancakes. So we're gonna let that sit for a few minutes, and I'm going to add some oil. I'm gonna start the pan and add some olive oil and a little bit of butter. So we're gonna give that a minute to sort of get hot enough where we can drop our potato pancakes in. I don't see why we can't multitask while we're waiting for the oil to heat up. I'm gonna get these apples and I'm gonna start peeling the skin off the apples, and this is what we're going to use for the applesauce. Now, applesauce is a very traditional dip or addition to potato pancakes, and it's my favorite. Some people use sour cream. Some people use applesauce and sour cream. I don't care for sour cream, but I love applesauce, and there's nothing better than homemade applesauce, and so that's what we're going to do. Why not? So we're going to go ahead and get the skin peeled off of these while we're waiting for the oil and the butter to get hot enough to cook our potato pancakes. Okay, slide that over. We've got 1 apple there. Woo! Almost lost that. See, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, but I just almost threw my apple away, and I don't know what to say. See, a lot of that just rhymed, and it just came off the top of my dome. God, I need help. I can already hear the butter kind of popping in that pan. So I think that we're just about ready. We'll turn the heat down a bit. And I think we're just about ready. So we can take a break from that. We're going to come back to the apples in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and start putting these in. Woo! And we're going to put them in just like that. And everybody's different. Some people like to have perfectly round latkes. I don't care. I just want them to taste amazing. All right, so we're going to give those a minute. It's going to take a minute before those are ready to flip. So now I'm just going to come back to my apples. I'm going to cut the apples up right there. And then we're going to get as much of the apple away from the core as we can because we want to make, and again, this is the rule of threes today. We're using 3 apples as well to make the applesauce. Now before we cut the next apple, I want to go check on the potato pancakes. Let's check on these. I think they're probably ready to be flipped. I can already feel the bottom of them is ready to be flipped. Look at that, golden brown. This is a good point to flip them so that we can start cooking the other side. Now, while the other side is cooking, let me prepare these apples to be cooked. So let me go ahead and get a pan, little pot for the apples, and see I can slide this to the corner of the edge of the counter and just slide them right into the pan, into the pot rather. And we're going to get these ready on the stove right here. And we're going to go ahead and put this on the burner here and start the fire underneath it and get them going a little bit. Oh, the potato pancakes smell so good already. So these are going to take a few more minutes to cook on this side. So what we're going to do is take a look at the liver. So you want to make sure that the livers are clean. Wash them thoroughly. I use chicken livers. A lot of people use goose liver or beef liver, but I use chicken liver, and this liver has been thoroughly washed. That's what it looks like right there. It's important when you're cooking for the holidays that you're doing a few things at once. You can't just make one thing at a time, otherwise it will take you all day. And we're going to take these out. These are ready to come out. Okay, now we're going to look at these apples a little bit. They're already starting to cook. I'm going to mix them up every now and then just to make sure that they're getting an even cook. And in a few minutes, I'm going to actually add some sugar and cinnamon as well. So we've got the liver ready. I'm going to wash my knife because you want to make sure that everything is nice and clean. We have to cut onions. It's an important part, so check it out. Just happen to have 2 right here. Now, you cut the end off, and then you want to slice like that across it, not breaking the end. Now, some people, when they're dicing onions, they also slice through it like this. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that because the onion is already like that naturally. So you cut like that, and then you simply go like that, and it's already diced. Look how easy that was. Almost cut my finger off. Don't worry, I'm fine, I hope. I got emotionally attached to these onions, and then I had to cut them open, and it's a whole thing. Okay, now the apples look like they're ready for some sugar. I don't measure anything. I put how much sugar I think it needs, and that's how much sugar we have. And then I'm also going to put in some cinnamon. We're going to do that while it's cooking because I like the flavor in the applesauce, not on the applesauce. And we're going to let that cook a little bit longer. And I'm going to grab a bowl here. Now this bowl is going to serve me the entire process of making the chopped liver. I'm going to use it to prep the stuff that I'm cooking, and I'm going to use it to before I transfer everything into the meat grinder. So all of the onions are going to go in here. Onions are ready. And the last thing that you really need are eggs, and they need to be hard-boiled, and I already thought ahead, and I made hard-boiled eggs earlier, and I had them in the fridge. Now the cool thing is, for my recipe, I only need 5 eggs, but I made a lot more than that because when you're making chopped liver, How do you not snack on eggs? If I only made 5, I wouldn't be able to snack on them because I need them all for the chopped liver. It all makes sense if you're in my brain. All right, now back to the applesauce. They're perfect and ready for the next step. You want to see something fun? So what we're going to do is we're going to add some ice. Now what the ice is going to do is 2 things. The ice is going to cool down the apples, which we really need, and it's going to add the extra moisture that we need that already steamed out when we were cooking it. Now we need the temperature to drop in here drastically because what I'm about to do next, my daughter can attest that the last time I put something hot in a NutriBullet, it exploded all over the ceiling and it was a huge mess, and I never, ever, ever want to do that again. So we're ready. I'm going to take the NutriBullet, which I love. This is also a staple that you need in every kitchen. If you don't have it, you need this. Go to the website and check out the links if you want to find this, the NutriBullet and the garbage, the little countertop clip-on garbage can. Both of those you can find on the CleveItToUs website if you're interested in buying them. Check them out because they're staples. They are staples in any kitchen. So we're going to add the apples to the NutriBullet and the ice. And now we're just going to put the cap on here. Apples, ice, and everything are in here. I like when it does that little dance. Ready to have your mind blown? This is, oh my gosh, the perfect applesauce. And I'm going to try some just to make sure. Oh my God. Perfect consistency. I love it. Couldn't be better. Potato pancakes are done. And I've got a little piece right here. So we're just going to go ahead and take a spoonful and put it right on top. Take a little bit more and put it right on top. Mmm. 10 out of 10. Okay. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I'm going to let the applesauce rest so that it can get nice and cold. This is done. And I'm going to set these off to the side because we're going to eat these. Now the best way to keep everything in order is to clean while you go. That's the smartest thing you can do. Just know that I have the best chopped liver in Cleveland, possibly in the world. It's my grandmother's recipe and I'm not sharing it with any of you. But you can watch the process and still, even after watching the process, you're still not going to know how I did it. You set that off to the side and we're off. Onions are already starting to cook. I'm sauteing them in butter, high heat. And one of the most important things I can tell you, and I've said this in other videos, when you're cooking with onions, salt the onions. Don't add salt afterwards. Salt the onions while you're cooking them. If you don't learn anything else from this today, learn that you need to salt the onions while you cook them. It's the most important step, and I'm going to add a little bit of cracked black pepper as well. You have to keep moving when you're cooking and going back and forth from thing to thing, otherwise it'll take you all day to make what you want to make. This is almost exactly how you want the onions to look. You don't want them to be translucent, you want them to look like this, where some of them are translucent, some of them are still undercooked. It's all right. That's where they're going to have the most flavor, and that's where they're going to do the most good. Those are done. I'm going to pour them into that bowl. Now I'm going to add some butter and olive oil to the pan that we just used to saute our onions. We're going to start to melt that, and then I'm going to saute the livers just the same. So we're ready. These are ready. And we're just going to drop them right in there. Look at that. Wonderful looking chicken livers. By the way, this is one of my favorite things to cook. It's also one of my favorite things to eat. Chopped chicken livers. I'm going to let those saute in the butter for a few minutes before we flip them. You can start to grab some of the different ingredients and put it into the meat grinder because you're going to mix it all together once it's ground anyways. So I'm going to put some of the onions in here. We're going to put some of the eggs in. Remember, 5 eggs for the recipe that I'm making at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to go check on the liver. Now I'm not even going to mess with this yet. I'm going to let it cook for a little bit longer before I flip them. I'm going to take a look over here, and I think it's safe to say that we can start grinding a little bit. So we're going to turn the grinder on, and I'm going to grab my little meat pusher, and we're going to start pushing things through to be ground. And you can see it's already starting to come out. Those are the ground onions. And while that's sort of doing its thing, I'm going to come back here and check on the liver. Constantly moving, remember, constantly moving. And you know what? These livers look like they're ready to flip. Yes, they are. Look at that. Now we're going to go back to the grinder. Like I said, moving, moving, moving. Throw another egg in there. More onions. And now I'm going to check on the liver again. It seems like a lot of mishigas, but I'm used to it. I'm used to going back and forth. Mishigas is craziness. It's Yiddish for craziness. Mishigas. And it seems like a lot of craziness to go back and forth, but I'm used to it. I like doing it. And it's kind of what I do. Just like any good chef, the key to any good cooking is the lighter fluid. And those look good to go. So now we're going to turn the heat off, and I'm going to transfer them directly into the bowl that has the rest of the onions in them. We are going to pour the rest into the meat grinder. And here we go. And you're going to start to see the liver working its way out as it changes from the white and yellow that were the eggs and the onions to brown. And the brown is, of course, the cooked chicken livers. So the chopped liver is coming together. It looks great. And as the final pieces of liver sort of work their way through the grinder, what I do is I add a piece of bread. This helps to clean the inside of the grinder and the moving parts and force whatever's left out. And I know to stop the machine as soon as I see bits of bread coming out. Once you see it and you stop, nothing else is going to drop. So we're in good shape, and now everything gets mixed together. This is the eggs, this is the liver, this is the onions, this is the salt, the pepper, the seasonings that we did, and also my special ingredient that we're not going to talk about ever. This is going to take a while before it's ready to consume because chopped liver is eaten cold. However, I don't have patience for that. And you can eat it on a sandwich, you can eat it on a cracker. It's a great pate for all occasions, very fancy. But I'm going to try a little bit and see how it came out so that I know if it needs a little bit more salt, if it needs this, or if it needs that. It's perfect. It's perfect, it needs nothing. So what I'm going to do is transfer into little container here. And then this is going to go in the refrigerator to eat later once it's nice and cold, because that is how you eat chopped liver. You eat it as a cold pate. Now, one of the great things about chopped liver is not only is it delicious, it's extremely affordable to make. Like I said, we had, what, 5 eggs in here, 1 large onion. I had to use 2 smaller onions, but 1 large onion. And chicken liver, which you can get for $2. You can get typically for under $2 at the store. So you're talking about $5 to make enough chopped chicken liver for your entire family to enjoy at a gathering, or more. And you'll have leftover. So I'm going to put this up and let it get cold for a while. Cleanup is a breeze. We just have to clean the bowls, and the meat grinder comes apart into several pieces. It all goes in the dishwasher. It's a very simple process. So now while the chopped liver gets nice and cold for us to eat, that'll be the second course of dinner. I'm going to let the kids know that the potato pancakes and the applesauce are ready. They're going to come down and eat it. By the time we're done eating the potato pancakes and the applesauce, the chopped liver will be at a good temperature and we can eat that. I'm going to go have some Manischewitz wine and relax. But thank you so much for joining me on Cleave It to Us for the first night of Hanukkah cooking exploration. I'm so glad that you were here. Join us next time as we're making ham and mac and cheese for Christmas. So the next time you want to know what to do, where to go, and what to see, check out the show and CleveItToUs.